The ballroom went silent. Every single person stopped moving. The music stopped playing. Even the children stopped laughing. Samuel Brooks stood there, his hands still raised in the air. His mother, Sarah, held her face where her own son had just hit her. Tears ran down her cheeks, but she didn't make a sound. His beautiful bride, Emma, stood frozen in her white dress, her mouth open in shock. "Get out," Samuel said to his mother. His voice was cold, like ice. "You've ruined everything. Get out." What could make a son hit his own mother on the happiest day of his life? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back, way back, to when Samuel was just a little boy. 25 years ago, Samuel was born in a tiny apartment that always smelled like his mother's cooking. His father had left before Samuel was even born. Sarah worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table. She cleaned offices at night, worked at a grocery store in the morning, and did people's laundry in the afternoon. Samuel never had fancy toys. While other kids got new bikes and video games, Samuel got clothes from the donation center. But Sarah always made sure he had everything he needed for school. She would stay up late helping him with homework. Even though she was so tired her eyes would close while she was talking. "Education is your ticket out of here," she would tell him every single night. "Study hard, my sweet boy. You're going to be someone special." And Samuel did study hard. He was the smartest kid in his class. But as he got older, something started to change inside him. When Samuel was 13, something happened that planted a tiny seed of shame in his heart. He was at school, excited because he had won a science award. His teacher said parents could come to watch the ceremony. Samuel ran home to tell his mother. Sarah was washing dishes at Mrs. Patterson's house down the street. When Samuel found her, she was wearing old, torn clothes and rubber gloves. Her hair was messy, and she smelled like cleaning chemicals. "Mom, can you come to school tomorrow? I won an award." Sarah's face lit up like the sun. "Oh, Samuel, of course. I'm so proud of you." The next day, Sarah showed up at the school. She had tried to make herself look nice, but her clothes were old and didn't fit right. Her hands were red and rough from all the cleaning work. When she walked into the auditorium, some of the other kids started whispering and pointing. Samuel saw his friend Tyler's mother. She wore a beautiful dress and expensive jewelry. She smelled like flowers. Tyler's dad wore a nice suit. Then Samuel looked at his own mother. For the first time in his life, he felt embarrassed. The feeling made his stomach hurt, but it was there, real and heavy and ugly. Sarah waved at him with a huge smile. Samuel lifted his hand to wave back, but then he saw more kids looking at her, looking at him. He put his hand down. After the ceremony, Sarah rushed to hug him. "I'm so proud of you, baby." Samuel stepped back. "Mom, you're squeezing too tight," he said, even though she wasn't. Sarah's smile got smaller, but she didn't say anything. That tiny seed of shame began to grow, and grow, and grow. By the time Samuel got to high school, everything changed. He studied harder than ever before. He wanted to be different from where he came from. He wanted to be better. Better than the small apartment. Better than the donated clothes. Better than a mother who cleaned toilets for a living. Sarah never stopped supporting him. When Samuel said he wanted to join the debate team, she worked extra hours to pay for his trip to the state competition. When he said he needed a calculator for advanced math, she went without meals for 3 days to buy it for him. "Whatever you need to succeed," she would say with a tired smile. Samuel got into Princeton University with a full scholarship. It was the proudest day of Sarah's life. She cried happy tears for a whole week. But at Princeton, Samuel met a whole new world of people. People who had never worried about money. People whose parents were doctors, lawyers, and business owners. People who had gone to private schools and took vacations in Europe. Samuel learned to fit in with them. He learned how they talked, how they dressed, how they acted. He learned to be ashamed of where he came from. When his roommate asked about his family, Samuel said, "My mother works in healthcare management." It was a lie. Sarah cleaned the bathrooms at a hospital. When friends wanted to visit his home during breaks, Samuel always made excuses. My mom's renovating the house right now. It's a mess. Another lie. Sarah still lived in the same tiny apartment. Sarah would call Samuel every week. How are you, my sweet boy? Are you eating enough? Do you need anything? I'm fine, Mom. I have to go study. Samuel would hang up as fast as he could, especially if his new friends were nearby. During his second year, Sarah got very sick. She had been working so hard for so many years that her body started breaking down. She needed an operation, but she didn't have health insurance. She called Samuel. Sweetheart, I hate to ask, but I need some help with medical bills. Samuel felt angry. Not worried. Not sad. Angry. Why was she bothering him with this? He was trying to build a new life. Mom, I'm a student. I don't have money. Can't you figure something out? There was silence on the phone. Then Sarah said quietly, Of course, baby. Don't worry. I'll handle it. You focus on your studies. Sarah sold everything valuable she owned. She took out a loan with terrible interest rates. She got the operation, but now she was drowning in debt. Samuel didn't know any of this. He didn't ask. Deep down, he didn't want to know. In his final year at Princeton, Samuel met Emma Parker. Emma was everything Samuel had dreamed of. She was beautiful, smart, and came from old money. Her family owned 3 houses. Her father ran a successful investment company. Her mother was on the board of directors for multiple charities. Emma liked Samuel because he seemed different from other rich boys she knew. He worked hard. He was hungry for success. He was going places. When Emma asked about his family, Samuel had his lies ready. My mother is retired now. She used to work in hospital administration. She lives quietly. Very private person. I'd love to meet her, Emma said sweetly. Samuel felt panic rise in his chest. She travels a lot. It's hard to pin her down. After graduation, Samuel got a job at a top investment firm. He started making more money than he had ever imagined possible. He bought expensive clothes. He ate at fancy restaurants. He moved into a luxury apartment in Manhattan. Sarah was still in the same tiny apartment, working to pay off her medical debt. She was so proud of Samuel. She kept a scrapbook with every article about his company, every achievement. She told everyone in the neighborhood about her successful son. Samuel sent her money every month. Not much, just enough to make himself feel less guilty. He never visited. He always had an excuse. Work is crazy right now, Mom. Maybe next month. Next month never came. 2 years later, Samuel proposed to Emma. It was perfect. He took her to Paris and proposed at the top of the Eiffel Tower. The ring cost 3 months of his salary. Emma said yes. Her family was thrilled. They started planning the biggest wedding New York society had seen in years. That's when Sarah called. She had heard the news from a Facebook post. Samuel, I'm so happy for you. When can I meet Emma? When's the wedding? I need to start planning what to wear. Samuel felt that old familiar feeling. Shame, embarrassment, fear. Mom, about that, the wedding is going to be small, very intimate, just close family and friends. But I'm your mother. I know, but Emma's family they're different. They have certain expectations. It would be better if you maybe we can have a small celebration later, just the 3 of us. Silence. Long, painful silence. Then Sarah spoke, and her voice was different, harder, hurt. Are you ashamed of me, Samuel? What? No, don't be ridiculous. It's just complicated. I gave you everything. I worked myself to the bone so you could have a better life. I never asked you for anything except to be a good person. And now you don't want your own mother at your wedding. Samuel felt anger rising. How dare she make him feel guilty? He had worked hard for everything he had. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Emma's family expects certain things. I can't just what? Can't just admit your mother cleans toilets for a living? Can't just tell the truth about where you came from? This conversation is over. I'll call you later. Samuel hung up. He didn't call later. Weeks went by. Sarah tried calling him, but Samuel let it go to voicemail every time. She sent texts. Please, Samuel. Let's talk. I love you. I just want to be part of your special day. Samuel deleted them without reading after the first few words. The wedding was planned for June. Everything was perfect. The venue was a historic mansion. The guest list had senators, CEOs, and celebrities. Emma's dress cost more than Sarah made in an entire year. 1 week before the wedding, Emma and Samuel were having dinner at her parents' house. Mrs. Parker was going through the final guest list. Now, Samuel, dear, I don't see your mother on the list. Will she be sitting with your father's side of the family? The room went quiet. Samuel had never told them the truth. He had let them believe his father was still in the picture, just distant. My mother won't be able to make it, Samuel said quickly. She's traveling abroad. Long-planned trip. She sends her congratulations. Emma looked at him strangely. That's odd. I thought you said she mostly stayed home. And she wouldn't miss her only son's wedding for a trip, would she? Samuel felt trapped. It's complicated. Can we not talk about this? But Emma wouldn't let it go. Later that night, she confronted him. What's really going on with your mother? Why all the secrets? Samuel tried to lie, but Emma was smart. She kept pushing. Finally, the truth came spilling out. About the tiny apartment. About the cleaning jobs. About the lies. All of it. Emma was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I don't care that your mother is a cleaner, Samuel. I care that you lied to me. I care that you're ashamed of the woman who gave you everything. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. My grandmother started with nothing. She cleaned houses too. She's the strongest woman I know. If you can't respect your own mother, what does that say about who you really are? Emma gave him an ultimatum. Invite your mother to the wedding. Properly. Give her a seat of honor. Or we're done. Samuel felt his perfect life cracking. He agreed. He called Sarah. Mom, I'm sorry. I want you at the wedding. Please come. Sarah started crying. Oh, Samuel. Thank you. I've been saving up. I'll buy a nice dress. I'll make you proud, I promise. Just be yourself, Mom. The words felt like ash in his mouth. The night before the wedding, Sarah arrived in the city. She had spent every penny she had on a dress from a department store. It wasn't fancy, but it was the nicest thing she had ever owned. She had gone to a salon for the first time in 20 years to get her hair done. She was so nervous and excited. Her son was getting married. She would finally meet Emma. Everything would be okay again. Samuel picked her up from the bus station. When he saw her, his heart sank. She looked old, tired, out of place. The dress she thought was nice looked cheap compared to what everyone else would be wearing. Her hair, though freshly done, was styled in an old-fashioned way. Hi, baby. Sarah hugged him tight. She smelled like the lavender soap she'd always used. It made Samuel feel like a child again, and he hated it. Hi, Mom. Let's get you to the hotel. At the hotel, Sarah looked around in wonder. This is so fancy. Samuel, you didn't have to spend this much money on me. Emma's family made the arrangements, he said coldly. That night, Samuel couldn't sleep. He looked at his phone and saw pictures from the rehearsal dinner that Sarah hadn't been invited to. All of Emma's elegant family members. His wealthy friends. And tomorrow, his mother would be there. A reminder of everything he tried to leave behind. The morning of the wedding, disaster struck. Mrs. Parker called Samuel in a panic. The wedding planner just quit. Something about a family emergency. Samuel, we need someone to coordinate everything until we can get a replacement. Just for a few hours. Samuel thought fast. Too fast. Without really thinking it through, he called his mother. Mom, there's been a problem. We need help coordinating some last-minute stuff. You're good at organizing things. Could you help out? Just until noon. Then you can get ready for the ceremony. Sarah was confused. But Samuel, I need time to prepare. I want it to look perfect for. Please, Mom. I need you. Emma needs you. It would mean so much to us. That's all it took. Those magic words. I need you. Sarah agreed. She showed up in her regular clothes, ready to help. For the next 6 hours, she ran around the venue making sure everything was perfect. She directed deliveries. She fixed flower arrangements. She helped set up chairs. She did whatever anyone asked, just like she always had. But she didn't notice what was happening. Emma's family saw her. They saw this older woman in plain clothes working like staff. They assumed she was staff. Samuel didn't correct them. When someone asked, "Who's that woman?" Samuel said, "She's helping with setup." Not, "That's my mother." Not, "That's the woman who raised me." Just, "She's helping." Sarah worked so hard that she lost track of time. By the time she realized it was past noon, she had only an hour before the ceremony. She was sweaty, her hands were dirty, and she was exhausted. She rushed to her hotel room, showered quickly, and tried to make herself presentable. But she looked tired. The dress that had seemed so nice now had a small stain from the flower arrangements. Her careful hairdo was falling apart. She arrived at the ceremony just as it was starting. An usher tried to seat her in the back. "Oh no," Sarah said. "I'm the groom's mother. Samuel Brooks is my son." The usher looked confused. He checked his list. "I don't have you marked for family seating, ma'am, but we have space in the back." Sarah's heart broke a little bit more, but she smiled. "Of course, the back is fine." She sat in the last row, behind 300 guests, and watched her son get married. She cried silent tears of joy and pain mixed together. The reception was held in the mansion's grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. A live orchestra played beautiful music. The food was prepared by a famous chef. Everything sparkled and shined. Sarah stayed in the background. She didn't want to embarrass Samuel. She just wanted to catch his eye, to smile at him, to let him know she was proud. But Samuel avoided looking at her. Every time he saw her from the corner of his eye, he looked away. He laughed loudly with his new in-laws. He danced with Emma. He gave a speech about how grateful he was for everyone's support, and he didn't mention his mother once. Sarah's heart was breaking, but she told herself it was okay. He was nervous. It was a big day. They would talk later and everything would be fine. Then came the mother-son dance. The DJ announced it was time. And now, Samuel Brooks will dance with his mother, Sarah Brooks. The spotlight swept the room, looking for her. Samuel stood in the center of the dance floor. His face went pale. He hadn't thought about this part. He looked around frantically and saw his mother starting to walk toward him from the back of the room. She looked so happy, so proud. She was smiling through tears. But as she walked, Samuel saw what everyone else was seeing. Her cheap dress with the stain, her tired face, her rough, worn hands. He saw Tyler from high school smirking. He saw Emma's father whisper something to someone. He saw people starting to realize that this cleaning woman was his mother. All the shame and embarrassment and anger he'd been pushing down for years exploded inside him. Sarah reached the dance floor. She held out her arms. "I'm so proud of you, my sweet boy." That's when something inside Samuel snapped. His hand moved before his brain could catch up. The slap echoed through the entire ballroom like a gunshot. "I said get out," Samuel screamed. "You've embarrassed me for the last time. You don't belong here. You never belonged in my life. Get out." Sarah stood frozen, her hand on her cheek where her son had struck her. The room was absolutely silent. 300 people stared in horror. Emma grabbed Samuel's arm. "Samuel, what are you doing?" Samuel shook her off. He pointed at his mother. "This woman has been holding me back my entire life, making me feel guilty, making me feel like I owe her something. Well, I don't. I made myself. Everything I am. I built myself." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Samuel, I'm your mother. You're a cleaner," Samuel shouted. "That's all you'll ever be. And I don't need you anymore." Security guards were already moving forward, but Sarah held up her hand. She looked at her son with eyes full of tears and something else. Something that looked like pity. "You're right," she said quietly. "You don't need me anymore. You've lost something far more important than me." Then she turned and walked out of the ballroom. Her head was held high, but her shoulders shook with silent sobs. The doors closed behind her. The music didn't start again. Nobody moved. Everyone stared at Samuel like he was a monster. And deep inside, in a place Samuel didn't want to look, he wondered if they were right. What happened next changed everything. But that's a story for another chapter. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth and find out how Samuel's terrible choice destroyed his entire world. The silence in the ballroom felt like it would last forever. Samuel stood there, his hand still tingling from slapping his mother. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. Around him, 300 people stared at him like he was a stranger, a monster. Emma was the first to move. She walked up to him slowly, her beautiful white dress rustling against the marble floor. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. "Emma, Samuel started. Slap. Emma hit him across the face. Not as hard as he had hit his mother, but hard enough. Hard enough that his cheek burned. Hard enough that everyone gasped. "Don't you dare say my name," Emma whispered. Her voice was full of ice and fire at the same time. "I don't know who you are. I thought I was marrying a good man. But you're not a man at all. You're a monster." She pulled off her wedding ring and dropped it on the floor. It bounced twice and rolled away, the sound echoing in the silent room. "This marriage is over before it even started," Emma said. Then she turned to the crowd. "Everyone please leave. There is no celebration here. There's nothing to celebrate." Emma's father, Mr. Parker, walked onto the dance floor. He was a tall man with gray hair and cold eyes. He looked at Samuel like he was looking at garbage. "Young man," Mr. Parker said quietly, "I have seen many terrible things in my life. I've seen criminals. I've seen liars. I've seen cheaters. But I have never, in all my years, seen someone strike their own mother. Especially not the mother who sacrificed everything for them. Sir, please let me explain." "Explain." Mr. Parker's voice got louder. "Explain what? How did you lie to us about your family? How did you use your mother like a servant today? How did you hit the woman who gave you life?" Samuel felt like the floor was disappearing under his feet. I was under pressure. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean it?" Emma's mother spoke up now. Her voice was shaking with rage. "You didn't accidentally slap your mother, Samuel. You chose to do it. You chose to humiliate her. You chose cruelty." One by one, the guests started leaving. But they didn't leave quietly. As they walked past Samuel, they said things. "Disgusting. How could you? That poor woman. I'm calling the police. That was assault." Tyler, Samuel's old friend from high school, stopped in front of him. "You know what's funny, Samuel? I always thought you were better than the rest of us. Smarter, harder working. Now I see you're just empty inside. My mom might not be perfect, but I would never do what you just did." Samuel's boss from the investment firm was there too. He walked up slowly, his face dark with anger. "Samuel, I'm going to make this very simple. You're fired. We cannot have someone like you representing our company. Pack your desk on Monday. Security will escort you out." "But sir." "There is no but. You're done." Within an hour, the beautiful ballroom was empty. The flowers were still perfect. The food was still warm. The chandelier still sparkled. But there was no celebration, no joy, no love. Just Samuel, standing alone in his expensive tuxedo, surrounded by the ruins of his perfect life. Samuel went to his hotel room. It was the honeymoon suite. There were rose petals on the bed, champagne on ice, everything prepared for a happy couple. He sat on the bed and stared at his phone. He needed to call someone, anyone, but who? His work friends? They had all been at the wedding. They all saw what he did. Emma's friends? They hated him now. His mother? The thought made him feel sick. He had hit her. He had told her to get out of his life. What had he done? Samuel looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a man in an expensive tuxedo, perfect hair, perfect teeth, a face that belonged on magazine covers. But the eyes, The eyes looked dead, empty, lost. He tried to tell himself he had been right. His mother had embarrassed him. She had held him back. He was just protecting his future, his success, his new life. But the lies felt hollow now, like trying to eat food made of air. Samuel didn't sleep that night. He just sat on the bed, staring at nothing, while his perfect life crumbled around him like sandcastles in the tide. The next morning, Samuel's phone started buzzing, and buzzing, and buzzing. Text messages, emails, calls, social media notifications. Hundreds of them. Someone had filmed him slapping his mother. The video was everywhere. On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on the news. The headline read, "Wall Street banker slaps mother at wedding. Video goes viral." Samuel watched the video with horror. He watched himself scream at his mother. I watched his hand hit her face. Watched her stand there, hurt and shocked, while he told her she had embarrassed him for the last time. 40 million people had watched it. The comments were brutal. "This man is evil. Someone found his mother and started a GoFundMe for her. He should be in jail. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Cancel him." There were articles about him on every major news site. The New York Times, CNN, BBC. Everyone was talking about Samuel Brooks, the man who slapped his mother at his own wedding. Reporters found out where he lived. They were camped outside his apartment building. They called his phone over and over. Samuel turned off his phone and hid in the hotel room. But he couldn't hide from what he had done. 3 days later, Samuel finally left the hotel. He wore sunglasses and a hat, trying to hide his face. But people recognized him anyway. "That's him. That's the guy who hit his mother." A woman spat at him on the street. "You're disgusting." A man shoved him. "How dare you show your face in public?" Samuel ran back to his apartment. But when he got there, his landlord was waiting. "Mr. Brooks, I'm sorry, but you need to leave. The other residents are uncomfortable. They don't want you living here anymore. I'm breaking your lease. You have 1 week to move out." "You can't do that." "I can and I am." 1 week. Samuel went up to his apartment. The luxury apartment he had been so proud of. The place that proved he had made it. That he was somebody. Now it felt like a prison. He tried calling Emma. She didn't answer. He called 20 times. Finally, she texted back, "Stop calling me. My lawyer will contact you about the annulment. We were only married for 30 minutes. It should be easy to erase. Just like you tried to erase your mother. Goodbye, Samuel. I hope one day you find your soul again. If you even have one." Samuel threw his phone across the room. It smashed against the wall. He wanted to feel angry. Wanted to feel like everyone was being unfair to him. But deep down, underneath all the pride and shame and fear, he felt something else. He felt empty. 1 week later, Samuel moved his things into a cheap motel on the edge of the city. His savings were disappearing fast. He had no job. His reputation was destroyed. Nobody would hire him. He tried applying to other investment firms. They all rejected him immediately. "We've seen the video, Mr. Brooks. We're not interested." He tried applying to smaller companies. Same answer. He tried applying to restaurants, retail stores, anywhere that would take him. But his face was too famous now. Too recognizable. Nobody wanted the man who slapped his mother working for them. Samuel's money ran out after 2 months. He sold his expensive clothes, his watch, his laptop, everything he had worked so hard to buy. The motel kicked him out when he couldn't pay. Samuel found himself on the street with just a backpack full of his remaining belongings. He was homeless. The same streets he used to walk in his expensive suits, feeling proud and successful. Now he walked in dirty clothes, hungry and alone. Sometimes people recognized him. They would point and whisper. Some would yell at him. Others would just look at him with disgust and walk away. Samuel learned where the soup kitchens were, where he could sleep without getting arrested, how to avoid the dangerous parts of the city at night. He had lost everything. His wife, his job, his home, his money. his reputation. But the worst part? He still hadn't lost his pride. Even sleeping under a bridge, Samuel told himself he had been right. His mother had embarrassed him. This was all her fault somehow. If she had just stayed away from the wedding, none of this would have happened. He blamed her. He blamed Emma. He blamed the internet. He blamed everyone except himself. 3 months into his homelessness, Samuel was digging through a trash can behind a restaurant, looking for food. His hands were dirty. His hair was long and messy. He smelled bad. His expensive dental work couldn't hide the fact that he looked like a ghost of his former self. A soup kitchen volunteer was loading supplies from a van nearby. She kept glancing at Samuel, like she recognized him. Finally, she walked over. "Excuse me? Are you Samuel Brooks?" Samuel's heart sank. Here we go again. More judgment. More anger. "Please just leave me alone," he muttered. "No, wait," the woman said. "I'm not here to yell at you. I wanted to tell you something." Samuel looked up at her. She was older, maybe 50, with kind eyes. "My name is Patricia. I work at St. Mary's Soup Kitchen. We serve meals every day to people who need them." She paused. "Your mother volunteers there." Samuel felt like he had been punched in the stomach. "What?" "Sarah Brooks. She's been volunteering at our soup kitchen for 5 years. 3 times a week, she comes and serves food to homeless people. She's one of our most reliable volunteers. One of the kindest people I've ever met." Samuel couldn't speak. Patricia continued. "After what happened at your wedding, we all saw the video. We expected her to stop coming. We thought she'd be too heartbroken. But she showed up the very next week. Someone asked her how she was doing. And you know what she said?" Samuel shook his head. She said, "I'm praying for my son. He's lost his way. But I still love him. I'll always love him." Tears started running down Samuel's dirty face. He couldn't stop them. Patricia handed him a card. "We serve meals at 6 o'clock every evening. If you need food, come by. Your mother doesn't have to know you're there if you don't want her to. But you should know. She still loves you, even after everything." Patricia walked away, leaving Samuel standing there with the card in his shaking hand. That night, Samuel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Patricia had said. His mother was volunteering at a soup kitchen, helping people, being kind, even after what he did to her. He remembered something his mother used to tell him when he was little. "Samuel, the measure of a person isn't how much money they make or how important they become. It's how they treat people who can do nothing for them." Samuel had forgotten that lesson. Or maybe he had thrown it away on purpose. He looked at the card Patricia had given him. St. Mary's Soup Kitchen. Only 6 blocks away. For 3 days, Samuel walked past the soup kitchen. He would stand across the street, hidden in the shadows, watching. He saw volunteers serving food to homeless people. People who looked just like him now. And then he saw her. His mother. Sarah looked older, thinner. There were more gray hairs, more wrinkles around her eyes. But she smiled as she served food. She talked to each person like they mattered, like they were important. Samuel watched her serve a homeless man who could barely stand up. The man was dirty and drunk, and he knocked over his tray by accident. Food spilled everywhere. Sarah didn't get angry. She just smiled, helped him sit down, and got him a new tray of food. "Don't worry, honey," she said. "We all have bad days. Let's try again." Samuel felt something crack inside his chest. A wall he had built up over many years. It was starting to break. He watched his mother every night for a week. I watched her be kind, patient, loving, to complete strangers. Meanwhile, he was sleeping in alleys and digging through trash. The irony wasn't lost on him. On the 8th night, Samuel decided to go inside. He was so hungry. "I'm so tired. So broken." He waited until there was a long line, then joined at the back. He kept his head down, hoping his mother wouldn't recognize him. His appearance had changed so much. Surely she wouldn't know him. The line moved slowly. Samuel's heart beat faster with each step. What if she saw him? What if she screamed at him? What if she told him to leave? the same way he had told her to leave his wedding. He would deserve it. He knew that now. Finally, it was his turn. Samuel stood in front of the serving station, his head down, his hand holding out a tray. "Hello, dear," his mother's voice said. "What would you like tonight? We have chicken soup, bread, and—" She stopped talking. Samuel slowly lifted his head. Sarah's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened. The serving spoon fell from her hand and clattered on the floor. "Samuel?" she whispered. They stared at each other across the serving counter. Samuel, dirty and broken and homeless. Sarah, shocked and hurt and confused. Samuel tried to speak, but no words came out. His throat was closed up. Tears started running down his face again. He finally choked out. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." Sarah stood there frozen. Other volunteers had noticed now. They whispered to each other. Some looked angry. Some looked sad. Patricia, the volunteer who had talked to Samuel earlier, stepped forward. "Sarah, do you want me to?" But Sarah held up her hand. She walked around the counter. Slowly, step by step. Samuel didn't move. He stood there, waiting for her to yell at him, to hit him back, to tell him he was dead to her. He deserved all of it. Sarah stopped right in front of him. They were inches apart. Samuel could see the tears in her eyes, could see the pain on her face, pain that he had put there. "Mom, Samuel started. Sarah pulled him into a hug. She hugged him tight, the way she used to when he was little and had nightmares. The way she used to when he came home from school sad. The way she used to before he pushed her away. Samuel broke down. He sobbed into his mother's shoulder like a child. All the pride, all the anger, all the shame came pouring out in tears. "I'm sorry," he kept saying over and over. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Sarah was crying too. "My sweet boy," she whispered. "My sweet, lost boy." They stood there holding each other while everyone in the soup kitchen watched. Some people were crying too. Even the tough homeless guys who thought nothing could touch them anymore. But then Sarah pulled back. She held Samuel at arm's length and looked at him. Really looked at him. Her face changed. The softness went away. Something harder took its place. "Samuel," she said quietly, "I forgive you. I will always love you. You're my son, and nothing can change that." Samuel felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you. But," Sarah interrupted. "Forgiveness doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. You need to understand what you've done. Not just to me, to yourself. You threw away everything that made you human. Your compassion, your humility, your gratitude, your love." Samuel nodded. I know that now. I'll change. I promise I'll." "Promises are easy," Sarah said. "Change is hard. You can't just say sorry and expect everything to be fixed. You have to become a different person. You have to rebuild yourself from the ground up." She looked at him with sad, tired eyes. "I'll help you, because that's what mothers do. But you have to do the work, Samuel. You have to face what you've become. And you have to choose, every single day, to be better." Samuel nodded, tears still streaming down his face. "I will. I swear I will." Sarah gave him a small, sad smile. "We'll see. Actions speak louder than words. My sweet boy." She turned to Patricia. "Can you get him some food, please? And maybe some clean clothes from the donation box?" "Of course," Patricia said. Sarah looked back at Samuel one more time. "Eat, rest. Tomorrow we'll talk about what comes next." Then she walked back behind the counter and continued serving food to the other people in line. Like nothing had happened. Like her whole world hadn't just collided with her past. Samuel sat at a table with a tray of food. The chicken soup was simple, but it was the best thing he had eaten in months. Not because it was fancy, because his mother had served it to him. He watched her work. I watched her smile at people. I watched her treat everyone with dignity and respect. And Samuel realized something that hit him like a punch to the gut. His mother had always been rich. Not in money, in character, in love, in humanity. And he had been poor the whole time he thought he was successful. Poor in the things that actually mattered. That night, Sarah let Samuel sleep on her couch. The same tiny apartment he had been so ashamed of. It looked exactly the same as it had 20 years ago. Old furniture, peeling paint, a small kitchen. But it was clean. It was filled with love. There were pictures on the walls. Pictures of Samuel as a child. His school photos. His graduation. Even a picture from his wedding day, before everything went wrong. She had kept them all. Samuel lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling. He could hear his mother in her bedroom, praying quietly like she used to do every night. Please God, help my son find his way back. Help him see what really matters. Help him become the man I know he can be. She was praying for him. After everything he had done. After he had hit her, humiliated her, rejected her. She was still praying for him. Samuel cried himself to sleep that night. But these tears were different. They weren't tears of self-pity or anger. They were tears of shame, of regret, of realization. He had lost everything that made him human. His wedding, his job, his money, his home, his reputation. But maybe, just maybe, he could find those things again. Not the money or the status. Those didn't matter anymore. He could find his humanity again. His soul. The part of him that knew how to love. How to be grateful. How to be humble. It would be hard. Maybe the hardest thing he'd ever done. But as he drifted off to sleep, Samuel made himself a promise. Not to his mother this time. To himself. He would become a better man. Not the successful man he had pretended to be. But a good man. A real man. Tomorrow the work will begin. But tonight, for the first time in months, Samuel Brooks slept peacefully. Because he was home. But Samuel's journey back to humanity was just beginning. The hardest tests were still ahead. Would he truly change? Or would his old pride come back to destroy him one final time? Subscribe to this channel to support our growth and find out what happens next in Samuel's incredible journey. Samuel woke up to the smell of eggs and toast. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he remembered. His mother's apartment. The same tiny kitchen where she had made him breakfast every morning when he was a child. He sat up on the couch. His body ached from months of sleeping on concrete and cardboard. But the couch, old and worn as it was, felt like a cloud. Sarah came out of the kitchen carrying 2 plates. She set one down in front of Samuel. 2 eggs, toast, and a small glass of orange juice. Eat, she said simply. Then we need to talk. They ate in silence. Samuel wanted to say 1,000 things, but he didn't know where to start. So he just ate the simple breakfast his mother had made, and every bite tasted like forgiveness. When they finished, Sarah cleared the plates and sat down across from him. Her face was serious. Samuel, I meant what I said last night. I forgive you. I love you. But love doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. We need to talk about everything. The truth this time. No more lies. Samuel nodded. Okay. Why did you hit me? The question hung in the air like a sword. Samuel felt his throat tighten. He wanted to make excuses, to explain about the pressure, the expectations, the fear of being exposed. But then he remembered his promise. The truth. Always the truth from now on. Because I was ashamed of you, Samuel said quietly. Because for years, I told myself that where I came from didn't matter. That I had created myself. That I didn't owe anyone anything. I convinced myself that you were holding me back. That if people knew the truth about you, about us, they would see me differently. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. Samuel continued, his voice breaking. I was so scared of being poor again, of being that kid in donated clothes, of being nobody, so I became someone else. Someone who only cared about money and status and what other people thought. I killed the real me and built a fake person in his place. And when I showed up at your wedding? Sarah asked softly. I saw my fake life and my real life colliding, and I panicked. I wanted to erase you, to make you disappear so I could keep pretending. Tears ran down Samuel's face. But the truth is, Mom, You were the only real thing in my life, and I threw you away." Sarah reached across and took his hand. Her hands were rough and scarred from years of hard work. Hands that had cleaned toilets so he could go to Princeton. Hands that had held him when he cried as a child. Hands that had never, ever hurt him. "Samuel, do you know why I worked so hard? Why did I do 3 jobs and never complain? To give me a better life." "Partly," Sarah said, "but also because I wanted to teach you something. I wanted you to see that honest work has dignity, that serving others is not shameful, that being poor in money doesn't mean being poor in spirit." She squeezed his hand. "But somewhere along the way you learned the opposite lesson. You learned to be ashamed of hard work, ashamed of humble beginnings, ashamed of me." "I'm so sorry, Mom." "I know you are, but sorry is just the beginning. Now comes the hard part. Now you have to rebuild yourself. Brick by brick, day by day. You have to learn how to be human again." The next morning, Sarah woke Samuel up at 5 a.m. "Get up. You're coming with me to work." Samuel was confused. "What? Where?" "St. Joseph's Hospital. I have a shift starting at 6. You're coming." Samuel got dressed in some old clothes Sarah had kept from years ago. They barely fit him anymore, but they would do. They took 2 buses to get to the hospital. Sarah couldn't afford a car. When they arrived, Sarah led him to a supply closet. She handed him a mop, a bucket, and rubber gloves. "Today you're going to learn what I do. You're going to clean bathrooms." Samuel stared at the mop. This was the work he had been so ashamed of. The work he told people his mother didn't do. The work he had lied about for years. "Okay," he said quietly. For 8 hours, Samuel cleaned bathrooms in the hospital. He scrubbed toilets. He mopped floors. He wiped down sinks. He emptied trash cans filled with things he didn't want to think about. It was hard work. Humbling work. His back hurt. His hands hurt. The smell made him nauseous. But as he worked, he watched his mother. She didn't just clean. She talked to every person she passed. She smiled at the nurses. She asked the patients how they were feeling. She knew everyone's names. "Mrs. Brooks," a young nurse called out. "How are you today?" "I'm blessed, honey," Sarah said with a smile. "How's your mother doing? Is she feeling better?" "Much better, thanks for asking." An elderly patient in a wheelchair rolled by. "Sarah, there's my favorite person." Sarah stopped and spent 5 minutes talking to him, asking about his grandchildren, making him laugh. Samuel realized something. His mother wasn't just a cleaner. She was a light in this hospital. She brought joy to people who were sick and scared. She made their days brighter. There was more dignity in what she did than in all his fancy investment deals combined. At the end of the shift, the hospital supervisor, Mrs. Rodriguez, called them into her office. "Sarah, who's this you brought with you today?" "This is my son, Samuel. He's going through a hard time. I'm teaching him about honest work." Mrs. Rodriguez looked at Samuel carefully. Recognition flickered in her eyes. "Wait, are you the man from that video? The wedding?" Samuel felt shame wash over him. "Yes, ma'am." He waited for her to tell him to leave, to never come back. But instead, Mrs. Rodriguez said something unexpected. "Sarah, you never told me what happened at your son's wedding. When we asked, you just said, 'We're working through it.' You never complained, never spoke badly about him. You just kept coming to work and being kind to everyone." Sarah smiled softly. "He's my son. I love him no matter what." Mrs. Rodriguez looked at Samuel. "Young man, you hurt a woman who is beloved by everyone in this hospital. We all saw that video. We all cried for her. But if Sarah is willing to give you another chance, then I suppose we should too. You can come back and work here if you want. We'll pay you minimum wage. It won't be glamorous, but it's honest work." Samuel felt tears in his eyes again. "Thank you. I thank you." "Don't thank me," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "Thank your mother, and prove to her that you're worth her forgiveness." For the next 3 months, Samuel worked at the hospital with his mother. Every day he woke up at 5 a.m. Every day, he cleaned bathrooms and mopped floors and emptied trash. It was hard. His Princeton degree and his years at the investment firm meant nothing here. He was just another cleaner. Just another worker doing humble work for humble pay. But slowly, something changed inside Samuel. He started talking to the patients, learning their names, asking about their families, making them smile. He helped an old man who couldn't reach his water glass. He stayed late to help a nurse clean up after a difficult patient. He brought coffee to the overnight staff who looked exhausted. One day, Samuel was cleaning a bathroom when he heard crying from one of the patient rooms. He peeked in and saw a teenage boy sitting alone, tears running down his face. The old Samuel would have walked away. Not his problem, not his job. But the new Samuel, the one who was trying to be human again, went inside. "Hey," Samuel said gently. "Are you okay?" The boy looked up, startled. "I'm fine. It's stupid. I doubt it's stupid." The boy wiped his eyes. "Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm turning 16. But I'm stuck in this hospital with a broken leg and my friends are all at school and nobody's coming to visit and it sucks." Samuel sat down in the chair next to the bed. "That does suck. I'm sorry." They talked for a while. The boy's name was David. His parents both worked 2 jobs and couldn't take time off. His friends had sent some texts, but nobody could visit during school hours. That night, Samuel talked to Sarah. "Mom, can we do something special for David tomorrow? It's his birthday." Sarah smiled. "Of course." The next day, Samuel and Sarah came to work with a small cake they had baked together. They had scraped together money to buy a birthday card and a book about basketball, which David loved. They brought it to his room after their shift. David's eyes went wide when he saw the cake. "Happy birthday, David," Samuel said. David started crying again, but this time they were happy tears. You did this for me? But you barely know me." "Everyone deserves to feel special on their birthday," Sarah said warmly. They sang happy birthday. David blew out the candles. For a few minutes, he wasn't a lonely patient in a hospital. He was a teenage boy celebrating his birthday. After they left, David's nurse pulled Samuel aside. "That was really kind of you. You didn't have to do that." Samuel smiled. "Yes, I did." For the first time in years, Samuel felt something he had forgotten existed. He felt useful. Not because of his job title or his salary or his status, but because he had made another person's life a little bit better. He felt human again. 6 months after the wedding, Samuel got an unexpected phone call. It was from Tyler, his old friend from high school, the one who had smirked at his mother at the wedding reception. "Samuel? It's Tyler. Can we meet?" They met at a coffee shop. Tyler looked uncomfortable. "Look, man, I need to say something. I was a jerk at your wedding. Before everything happened, I laughed at your mom. I whispered to my friends about her clothes. I was being an elitist snob." Samuel was surprised. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I've been following what happened to you. The video went viral, and yeah, everyone was talking about what you did. But then I saw something else. I saw videos of you working at the hospital. Someone filmed you helping that kid on his birthday. It's going viral too, but in a good way. People are saying you're trying to change." Tyler looked down at his coffee. "And it made me realize I never changed. I'm still that same jerk who makes fun of people who aren't as wealthy as me. I'm still someone who judges people by their job instead of their character. In some ways, I'm worse than you, because at least you realized you were wrong. At least you're trying to be better." Samuel didn't know what to say. Tyler continued, "Your mom is a better person than my mom will ever be. My mom donates to charity because it looks good. Your mom actually helps people face to face. Your mom has character, and you almost lost her because you couldn't see that." "I know," Samuel said quietly. "Are you really different now? Or is this just an act to get your reputation back?" It was a fair question. Samuel thought about it carefully before answering. "Honestly, I don't know if I'm fully different yet. I'm trying. Some days are harder than others. Sometimes I catch myself thinking the old way, judging people, caring too much about what others think. But I'm aware of it now. And every day I choose to be better. Every single day, I have to make that choice. Tyler nodded slowly. That's more honest than I expected. I'm done lying. Lying is what got me here in the first place. They talked for another hour. Really talked. Not the fake, surface-level conversation Samuel used to have with his wealthy friends. Real conversation about mistakes and regrets and trying to be better. When they left, Tyler said, "Hey, Samuel, I'm glad you didn't give up. I'm glad you're still fighting." "Me too," Samuel said, and he meant it. 8 months after the wedding, Emma called. Samuel's heart stopped when he saw her name on his phone. He almost didn't answer, but he remembered his promise. Face everything. No more running. "Hello, Samuel." Emma's voice sounded different. Softer. "Can we meet? I want to talk." They met in a park. Emma looked as beautiful as ever, but there was something different about her too. She looked older, sadder, more real. They sat on a bench in silence for a while. Finally, Emma spoke. "I've been watching you, not in a creepy way, but I've seen the videos. Read the articles. My friends tell me you're working at a hospital as a cleaner, that you're living with your mother, that you're different." Samuel nodded. "I'm trying to be." "Why did you do it, Samuel? Why did you hit her?" He had answered this question before, but never to Emma. Never to the woman he had promised to spend his life with. "Because I was terrified," Samuel said honestly. "Terrified that if you knew the real me, you wouldn't love me. Terrified that I was a fraud. Terrified that I didn't deserve the life I had built. So when my mother showed up, representing everything I was running from, I lashed out. I tried to destroy her so I could keep the lie alive." Emma was quiet for a long time. "Do you know what the worst part was? It wasn't that you hit her. It was that you lied to me for years. You let me fall in love with a person who didn't exist." "I know. I'm so sorry, Emma. I loved you, Samuel. Or at least I loved who I thought you were. But that person was fake. He was a character you were playing." "You're right." Emma looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Who are you now? Who is the real Samuel Brooks?" Samuel thought about it. "I don't fully know yet. I'm still figuring it out. But I know I'm someone who cleans toilets and helps sick people. Someone who wakes up early to work hard for minimum wage. Someone who's learning that money and status don't make you valuable. Kindness and character do." "Do you miss your old life?" "Sometimes," Samuel admitted. "I miss the money, the comfort, the respect people gave me. But you know what I don't miss? I don't miss lying. I don't miss pretending. I don't miss being afraid all the time that someone would discover the truth." Emma wiped her eyes. "I wanted to hate you, Samuel. For months I wanted to hate you. But I can't. Because I see you're genuinely trying to change. And that takes more courage than anything else." "Does that mean?" Samuel didn't dare finish the question. "No," Emma said gently. "We can't go back. Too much has happened. We're different people now. But I forgive you, Samuel. I forgive you for lying, for the wedding, for all of it. And I hope you can forgive yourself someday." "Thank you, Emma. That means everything." They sat together for a while longer, two people who had once promised forever but now were saying goodbye. It was sad, but it was also right. When Emma stood to leave, she said one last thing. "Your mother is a remarkable woman, Samuel. Don't ever forget that again." "I won't," Samuel promised. Never again. 1 year after the wedding, Samuel was cleaning a bathroom at the hospital when Mrs. Rodriguez came to find him. "Samuel, can I see you in my office?" Samuel's heart sank. Was he being fired? Had he done something wrong? In the office, Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "Relax, you're not in trouble. I wanted to talk to you about something. We have an opening in our patient services department. It's a real job, not just cleaning. You'd be coordinating between patients and their families, helping them navigate the hospital system, and providing support. Pays better. Has benefits. I think you'd be good at it." Samuel was stunned. "Really? But my reputation." "Samuel, in the past year, you've proven yourself here. The patients love you. The staff respects you. You work hard and you're kind. That's what matters to me. Not some video from a year ago." I don't know what to say. Say yes. You've earned this. Samuel thought about it. A year ago, he would have jumped at this chance. A way up. A way back to respectability. But now he hesitated. Can I think about it? Mrs. Rodriguez looked surprised but nodded. Of course. Take your time. That night, Samuel talked to his mother. Mom, Mrs. Rodriguez offered me a promotion. Better pay. Better job. But I'm not sure I should take it. Sarah looked confused. Why not? It sounds like a wonderful opportunity. Because I'm afraid, Samuel admitted. I'm afraid that if I start moving up again, I'll become that person I was before. The person who cared more about status than people. What if I lose what I've learned? Sarah took his hands in hers. Samuel, being humble doesn't mean staying in one place forever. It means remembering where you came from. It means using whatever position you have to help others. You can take that job and still be a good person. Actually, you should take it. Because you'll be in a position to help even more people. You think so? I know so. But you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never forget this year. Never forget what it felt like to be at the bottom. To be judged. To be broken. Because that experience, as painful as it was, made you human again. Don't lose that. Samuel pulled his mother into a hug. I promise, Mom. I promise I'll never forget. 2 years after the wedding, Samuel Brooks walked into a boardroom. But this wasn't like before. He wasn't working at an investment firm anymore. He was the director of patient services at St. Joseph's Hospital. He had worked his way up over the past year, proving himself every step of the way. Today, he was presenting a proposal to the hospital board. A program to help low-income families navigate the healthcare system. Free services, support groups, education programs. Many patients, Samuel explained, feel lost and ashamed when they can't afford care. They feel like they don't matter. This program will show them they do matter. That everyone deserves dignity and respect, regardless of their income. The board members asked questions. Samuel answered them all. At the end, they approved his program unanimously. As Samuel left the meeting, he thought about how different he was from the man at that wedding 2 years ago. That Samuel cared about impressing people. Samuel cared about helping people. That Samuel wore expensive suits to hide his shame. This Samuel wore simple clothes and felt no shame at all. That Samuel was rich in money but poor in character. This Samuel was modest in money but rich in purpose. 3 years after the wedding, Samuel received an unexpected message. It was from a journalist who had covered his story. Mr. Brooks, I'm writing a follow-up article about your journey. Would you be willing to do an interview? Samuel agreed. The interview was published in a major magazine. The title was, The Man Who Lost Everything and Found Himself. In the article, Samuel spoke honestly about everything. His shame, his lies, his cruelty, his fall, his redemption. He didn't make excuses or try to paint himself as a hero. I was a terrible person, Samuel said in the interview. I hurt the one person who loved me unconditionally. I valued money and status over character and kindness. I lost my humanity, and it took losing everything to find it again. The article went viral just like the video from his wedding. But this time, the comments were different. This is what real change looks like. We all make mistakes. It's what we do after that matters. His mother is a saint, and he's lucky she gave him another chance. This gives me hope that people can actually change. Samuel read the comments with his mother. Some were still harsh. Some people would never forgive him, and that was okay. He had learned that he couldn't control what other people thought. He could only control his own actions. 5 years after the wedding, Samuel stood in the same ballroom where his life had fallen apart. The venue had agreed to host a charity fundraiser for low-income families. Samuel had organized the entire event. Every penny raised would go to helping families in need. As he looked around the room, Samuel thought about that terrible night. The night he slapped his mother. The night he lost everything. This room had witnessed his worst moment. Tonight it will witness something better. The fundraiser was a huge success. They raised over $200,000. Families would get help with medical bills, rent, food, education. Real help that would change their lives. At the end of the night, Sarah came up to Samuel. She was older now, retired from cleaning, but she still volunteered at the soup kitchen 3 times a week. "I'm proud of you, my sweet boy," she said. Samuel hugged her tight. "I couldn't have done any of this without you, Mom. You never gave up on me, even when I gave up on myself." "That's what mothers do," Sarah said with a smile. "We love our children no matter what. We hope they find their way, and we're there when they do." As they stood together in that ballroom, Samuel realized something profound. He had come full circle. He had started life in that tiny apartment with a mother who loved him. He had left to build a fake empire that crumbled. And now he was back, but different, better, real. He had lost his job, his money, his wife, his reputation, his pride. But he had gained something far more valuable. He had gained his humanity back, his compassion, his humility, his gratitude, his love. He had learned that the measure of a person isn't how much they have, but how much they give. Not how high they climb, but how many people they lift up along the way. He had learned that his mother was right all along. Education wasn't his ticket out. The character was his ticket in. Into a life that mattered. Into relationships that were real. Into a version of himself that he could actually be proud of. 10 years after the wedding, Samuel received a phone call. It was from a college student. "Mr. Brooks? My name is David. I don't know if you remember me, but 10 years ago, you and your mother brought me a birthday cake when I was in the hospital with a broken leg. I was turning 16. Samuel smiled. "David, of course I remember you. How are you?" "I'm amazing, actually. I just finished my nursing degree. I'm starting work at St. Joseph's Hospital next month. And Mr. Brooks, the reason I became a nurse is because of you and your mother. You showed me that kindness matters, that every person deserves dignity and care. You changed my life that day." Samuel felt tears in his eyes. "David, that means more to me than you know. I just wanted to thank you, both of you, for seeing me when I felt invisible." After the call ended, Samuel sat quietly. This was the ripple effect of kindness, of change, of becoming human again. He had been a monster once, a man who valued all the wrong things, a man who hurt the people he should have cherished. But he had changed, not overnight, not easily, but truly. And now, 10 years later, that change was creating more change. David would go on to help thousands of patients. Some of those patients would be inspired to help others. And on it would go. One act of kindness, multiplying into infinity. Samuel Brooks was now 45 years old. His mother, Sarah, was 75. She was slowing down but still sharp as ever. Still kind as ever. Still the best person Samuel had ever known. They had dinner together every Sunday. Sometimes at her apartment. Sometimes at his modest house on the edge of the city. It didn't matter where. What mattered was being together. One Sunday, as they ate Sarah's famous chicken soup, she said something that surprised him. "Samuel, I need to tell you something. I'm sick. The doctors say I have maybe 2 years left." Samuel felt the world stop spinning. "What, Mom? No. We'll get you the best treatment." Sarah held up her hand. "No, baby. I'm 75. I've lived a good life. A full life. I'm not afraid." "But I'm afraid," Samuel said, tears streaming down his face. "I can't lose you, Mom. Not after everything." "Samuel, look at me." Sarah took his face in her hands, the way she used to when he was little. "You're not going to lose me. I'll always be with you. In your heart. In your actions. In the kindness you show to others. That's how people live forever. It's not fair. I wasted so many years being ashamed of you. Years we could have spent together. But we have now," Sarah said gently. "We have these Sundays. We have these conversations. We have our love. That's more than many people ever get. Don't waste the time we have left being sad. Spend it being grateful." Samuel hugged his mother and cried. But she was right. They had now, and he would make every moment count. For the next 2 years, Samuel spent every free moment with his mother. They talked about everything: his childhood, her dreams and regrets, his dreams and regrets. One day, Sarah said, "Samuel, I want you to know that hitting me at your wedding was the best thing that ever happened to us." Samuel looked at her in shock. "What? Mom, how can you say that?" "Because it broke you. It shattered the fake person you had become. And from those broken pieces, the real you emerged. If that hadn't happened, you might have lived your whole life as someone else. Someone empty. Someone lost. Now look at you. You're helping people. You're making a difference. You're real. But I hurt you so badly." "Yes, you did. And it hurt worse than anything in my life. But Samuel, pain can destroy us or transform us. You chose transformation. I'm so proud of you for that choice." Samuel held his mother's hand. Her skin was thin now like paper, but her grip was still strong. "I love you, Mom. I'm so sorry for all those wasted years." "I love you too, my sweet boy. And there are no wasted years. Every experience, good and bad, made us who we are. I wouldn't change a thing." Sarah Brooks died peacefully in her sleep on a quiet Tuesday morning. She was 77 years old. Samuel was holding her hand. The funeral was beautiful. The church was packed with people whose lives Sarah had touched. Hospital patients, soup kitchen volunteers, neighbors, friends, hundreds of people, all there to celebrate a woman who had spent her life serving others. Samuel gave the eulogy. He spoke honestly about everything, about his shame and his cruelty, about his fall and his redemption, about his mother's unconditional love and infinite patience. "My mother taught me that success isn't measured in dollars or status," Samuel said. "It's measured in lives touched, in kindness given, in love shared. She was the richest person I ever knew, not because of what she had, but because of who she was. She forgave me when I didn't deserve forgiveness. She loved me when I was unlovable. She waited for me when I was lost. And she taught me, through her example, what it means to be human." I slapped my mother at my wedding. I lost everything that made me human, but she helped me find it again. She helped me understand that being human isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about loving. It's about trying. It's about getting back up when you fall. Mom, if you can hear me, I want you to know, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making you proud. I'm going to help people the way you helped me. I'm going to love people the way you loved me. I'm going to live the lesson you taught me, that every person matters, regardless of their job or their bank account or their status. Thank you, Mom, for everything, for never giving up on me, for showing me what really matters, for being the best person I've ever known. There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Today, 15 years after that terrible wedding, Samuel Brooks runs the largest charitable foundation for low-income families in the state. The Sarah Brooks Foundation, named after his mother. Every year, they help thousands of families with medical bills, education costs, housing, and food. They run programs that teach financial literacy, job skills, and self-worth. Samuel lives simply. He doesn't need luxury anymore. He needs purpose. He never remarried. He focused his life on honoring his mother's memory and helping others. In his office, there's a picture of his mother serving food at the soup kitchen. She's smiling, wearing her old clothes, looking tired but happy. It's Samuel's favorite picture. Next to it is a quote that Sarah used to say, "The measure of a person isn't how high they rise, but how they treat people when they're on top. And whether they remember, when they're on top, what it felt like to be at the bottom." Samuel looks at that picture every day. And every day he remembers his promise. To never forget. To never stop trying. To never lose his humanity again. On the anniversary of his mother's death, Samuel goes to the soup kitchen where she used to volunteer. He serves food to homeless people just like she did, just like he learned to do during his darkest days. As he hands a tray to an elderly homeless man, the man looks up at him and says, "Thank you, son. God bless you." Samuel smiles. "No, sir. God bless you." And in that moment, Samuel feels his mother's presence. He feels her love. He feels her pride. He had slapped his mother at his wedding. He had lost everything that made him human. But through pain and humility and years of hard work, he had found it again. Not the fake success he used to chase, but something real, something true, something worth living for. His humanity, his heart, his soul. And in finding himself, Samuel Brooks had found the greatest treasure of all. The ability to love, to serve, and to make the world just a little bit better than he found it. Just like his mother had always done. Just like she had taught him to do. Just like he would spend the rest of his life doing. Because that's what it means to be human. And Samuel Brooks, finally, after all those lost years, was human again. The end. Thank you for following Samuel's incredible journey from pride to humility, from cruelty to compassion, from being lost to being found. His story reminds us that it's never too late to change. It's never too late to become a better person. And the people who truly love us will never give up on us, even when we give up on ourselves. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, and continue watching powerful stories that inspire change and touch the heart.